Well, it's the never-ending story of Michigan. It's just one chapter after another. Interesting dynamic playing out in Michigan is the Attorney General Schultz, I believe his name is. He doesn't like the governor at all. I mean, he doesn't like the Snyder guy. So this is going to be a very interesting investigation, and to see where all the responsibility falls. And, of course, Snyder is out there making the case, hey, look, it wasn't me, it was other people. Listen to this garbage.
Yeah, in terms of the change itself, it was a broader effort in terms of saying they wanted to change their water system to a new water authority. And it was actually voted for by the city council, and it was ratified by the emergency manager. It was a 7-1 vote of the city council to leave the Detroit water system. The emergency manager ratified it after they made that vote.
And that was a decision to save money, I think, right, Governor?
Well, again, it would also reduce their cost in some ways, but I believe they wanted their independence, and it was a county-wide decision.
That is the biggest bunch of garbage. Those city council members knew that if they didn't go along and get along, they would have been black sheeped right out of the family, and they knew damn well that the emergency manager had the final executive authority on what was going to do. That was window dressing. Dan Kildee's a congressman from Michigan. He joins us. He represents Flint. Dan, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Ed. It's good to be back on.
All right. Is Snyder whitewashing this? Is he window dressing this? Where's the fault in your opinion?
Well, first of all, the way he described the decision obfuscates the reality. True, the city and the county have been working to create their own water authority for a long time. That has nothing to do with the decision that was made by his emergency manager to use the Flint River as the temporary water source until the new water authority is in place.
Does the Attorney General know that? Does the AG who's investigating, does he know that?
Yes. I mean, this is the thing that's bothersome about this is that the facts are fairly well known on the ground in Michigan, but the governor seems to be really focused on his legacy, and this is really a PR challenge for him. He's not looking at it as a public health challenge. This is a public relations problem, and they are spinning this idea that the decision that the city council voted on, of course they had no authority, that was window dressing, but the decision itself to go to the Karagandhi, this new water authority, has nothing to do with the decision that his state-appointed emergency manager made to temporarily use the Flint River as the temporary water source until the new water source is in place. The state emergency manager could simply have negotiated with the other state emergency manager that was running the city of Detroit to have a temporary deal using Detroit water until the new water authority is done. It's so frustrating because this is a way for them to try to draw other people in to say somebody else was responsible. No one else was responsible.
Okay, and did they throw away the state health department, or what exactly what the title is of the agency that oversees this kind of stuff, the quality of water? Did they just disregard what state agencies had to say?
Well, the state environmental quality agency itself is part of the problem. They were ignoring warnings of water difficulties. So it was this philosophy of government that the governor has in place that dollars and cents come before people that caused them to make these decisions. And then they ignored the state agency for environmental quality, ignored warnings coming from the EPA, from private citizens, from researchers, from pediatricians, until this became a national story. And
where's the restitution here, Congressman?
Pardon me?
Where's the restitution here?
It has to come in a couple of forms. One, obviously getting clean, drinkable water is first. But it has to, first of all, the state needs to pay back the people of Flint for the water bills that they've been paying for water they couldn't drink, and in fact, water that poisoned them. But the big cost and the big responsibility is to get the kids in Flint who've had lead exposure long-term educational, behavioral support, early childhood education, mentoring, after-school programming, the kind of opportunity that will help them overcome developmental challenges associated with lead. That's a moral obligation now that I think the state has to pay for. The state has a $575 million budget surplus. They committed $28 million to help Flint. That's less than half the amount of money that people in Flint paid for water that poisoned them.
That is amazing. I haven't heard that number at all on that. So the surplus of the state is in the millions, and they want to fork out a fraction to Flint to make right on this.
Right.
Wow.
They view it as a PR problem. The governor now, through his private 501c4 corporate-funded entity, is hiring public relations firms to help him. So what you're going to see now is a whole lot of columns and new sort of spin trying to obfuscate responsibility, trying to blame the EPA, trying to blame the local drain commissioner. This is all a concerted effort funded by dark money to help restore the reputation to the governor. Who cares about the governor's reputation? He should be focused on the health of kids in Flint, not his own reputation, for God's sake.
Take us to the fight in Washington on EPA. What's going to unfold here? We did a story last night about how in other parts of the country they're finding out that they have high levels of contamination, and in some cases more than Flint. What do you make of that? Where's this fight going to go?
Well, I think it has to go to much greater transparency. Where I think the EPA is responsible is in many ways doing what the Republicans have been trying to do for years, and that is weaken the EPA, take away their authority, take away their resources. And they've done that. But now I think what we have to have is a much more transparent process. When the EPA, for example, finds that there are problems, they need to do more than just tell the agency that has prime control, the local state agency. They need to shout from the mountaintop that there's problems in the water. The only way we're going to deal with these water problems, and Flint is an extreme example, is for the public to become aware of what's going on. And that was what was missing for so long. They hid this problem.
Yeah.
And we can't let that happen.
Congressman Dan Kildee, great work on the Iranian hostage situation.
Oh, thank you.
I know you've been working on it for a long time, and a successful conclusion. Good to you. We'll see you on the tube one of these days. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ed.
Dan Kildee, Congressman from Michigan. He represents Flint. We'll have more with him on the News with Ed Schultz on RT America.